for watching. It's the final day. Just a quick reminder, it's the final day for the Get All 5 sale. So last video I showed you guys the books. It's a lot of confusion about the previous orders before. As I told you guys, books have been held up for a long time. A lot of people don't understand how it works to get a book out the correct way. As I said, anybody can put a book out. If you want to get your book to a publisher so it can be recognized and put out the right way so you're not sued later on, there's a process. You have to find a publisher that's reputable. You have to put your book out. It has to undergo processing by your publisher to make sure that there's no copyright or anything that's going to halt the book and the production. So any real publisher will do their due diligence and go out and follow these steps and make sure things can be done. And it'll save you time if before that you do that work yourself, which is what I do, to make sure that the pictures and the quotes and the passages from books that I'm using can be used under Fair Act and freeware, free use. So the publisher has to do their job to make sure this happens, so the book can be released without problems. This happened. I got okayed from everybody, and one person reneged once they seen the book was being released and the book was selling. So that was the process. So the publisher had to halt production. This has happened to me twice. So this happened with Guide to God. That's what happened with the book. We helped it up. Until the last video, this was the first time I actually showed the actual book on video because we had issues with the book. The first books went out to only a few people. Only like a handful of people actually got the first copies. It was harder after that. No more books were sent to us. No more books were shipped out because of the lawsuit. But we work hard to get the books out, to get the books in, and to make sure people got their books. It's a huge, crazy process. And in that process, my father passed. I had health issues. There were tax issues I had with the IRS where my accounts was frozen. I didn't have any money. There's nobody I can turn to get money from. Everything was frozen. My business was held up. And these are the things that happens when you do stuff like this. So imagine every source of income you have, coming in is frozen completely. You can't even get into your bank account. And this is why people hide cash and why it's important to have a saving cash stashed away. But, it's a lot of stuff that happened in the process. And as I said, process is complete. We got books in. We're getting more books in. We're moving as fast as possible to get everybody who's been waiting their book. And I appreciate everybody's patience. There are some naysayers out there and haters out there who's trying to make it like this is some kind of fraud. I haven't been on YouTube for over a decade, putting out content. I created Merkaba Academy. I didn't do all this to risk my name, risk my reputation, to scam people out of a fucking book. Now I understand, rightfully so, some people were upset about the process, but everybody who's emailed me, and I've sent emails explaining, and I put videos out explaining what happened. Either you accept it or you do not. But to go in the comment section and tell people not to buy books because it's some type of big scam going on, it's just fucking crazy. It's nuts. I'm here. I've shown you guys the books. The books are here. We're moving as fast as possible, and I appreciate everybody's support. Also, for the newcomers to the channel, people who wanted to follow in a few months, there's so many videos I have out on this and so many other things. But people don't understand Merkaba Academy. They don't understand about the digital downloads and the DVDs. They think I'm new on here just trying to cheat people out of money when I've been putting out free content for a long time. I've explained the reason why videos like this one and the last video that went out, you have not the entire video. It's because I can't release it. If I put the whole video on YouTube, it's going to come down because the content in the video can't be posted on YouTube. They will shut it down. I've shown you guys so many emails. I've shown you guys proof of videos being taken down. I've shown you guys how my channel was demonetized. They actually just brought my channel back on to demonetize. As you can see, the t-shirts and stuff selling at the bottom again. That was gone once they demonetized my channel because I threatened to sue. I threatened to sue them for discrimination and a whole bunch of other stuff, which I talked about in videos before, because for what my channel was demonetized for and taken down for, you have other channels that do far worse than what I do that's still up, and also it's verified by YouTube. Like I said, been at this for over a decade. It's just disheartening for people to send you emails and say, well, I want to buy your book, but I'm hearing from people that it's some type of scam. Like I haven't been here for over a decade putting out work. I'm not going to jeopardize all the work and everything I've done, all the, Merkable Academy, everything I've done and put out. I'm not going to jeopardize that over a book to scam people out of a book. It's bullshit. You want to believe these people? That's fine. It's so many people who could have, asked for their money back, asked for refunds, who bought books long ago that have been waiting, that didn't complain once. Send me emails of encouragement. People understand this process, and when you're doing something like this, it's going to be hiccups. They're going to try to get in your way. They're going to try to stop you and discourage you, and they're going to try to turn people against you. If you're coming across so-called truthers and people who put out content like this, and they haven't faced the problems I've faced, they're frauds. It's bullshit. Like I said, y'all want to follow these people who get press conferences and get all this press and publicity and commercials and everything like that, and has verifications from YouTube, then you got to understand why they're not going through any trials and tribulations, because they're putting out exactly what they want to put out. It's no truth. When I put out the truth and I put out the real shit, my videos are taken down. But my accounts was frozen and I had no money, very little money. I didn't go on here and boo-hoo and try to put my business out there and put a GoFundMe up and ask for free money. I put out content. I put out a video, a DVD to get people to buy and support. I didn't come on here and say, hey, this is what's going on in the spring. I didn't do none of that, because the work speaks for itself. I've been doing this for a long time, a lot of supporters, and I appreciate the support. But for the naysayers and the haters and the new people who don't know what's going on, that's what's going on. There's no scams going on here. A lot of people have supported, and we got everybody who ordered will get their order. We got so much extra books in the deal that I made to sell. It's the reason why the sale exists. I could have just sold those books for normal prices, but I'm making it easier for people to get the books because of the wait. It's no scam. I have a real good deal. I have a lot of extra books, which they're almost gone. That's why the sale's almost over. So instead of me just taking these books and selling them normal price, I put together this amazing deal for people to take advantage of, and I can't even get, people calling it a scam. And it's not even very much support for it, because people believe in the shit people talk about in the comments, and they don't even know what the hell happened. They don't even understand, it's a lot that went on. And the reason why I didn't put out a lot of information on it, because there's no point. It is what it is. You believe in me, you trust me, I've been doing this for a long time, then it is what it is. I appreciate the support. And people who know. Also, when I put out the older videos and they cut off at the end, I'm not doing that to get people's money. I'm doing that, as I said, because I can't put out the entire video, because it will be taken down. Just that simple. So people complaining, you're charging for videos and this and that. When I put out the never pay again sale from $19 all the way up to $100. So it's been years it's been out to where people could have purchased it for $20, $100, and never had to worry about buying another video again. So I don't understand the complaint when has nothing to do about not being able to afford. It's that programming that doesn't want to support Black business, don't want to support Black people when they're trying to sell something. People are programmed to not support Black people. We're programmed to not support each other. So people want to make excuses like, why are you selling shit and other people putting out stuff for free, and don't want to give you credit or help you out towards the work that you're putting in on something that's, time consuming. It's people who paid $500 for a Never Pay Again membership when I first released it. It's a bunch of people. Imagine how they feel seeing it for $100 now. But I have to do that because how, time shift and how things have happened. And it's just how business is done. It's not fair to a lot of people, but unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I'm huge enough to just make it one price, and the price fluctuates because people broke, or people don't want to spend money, or I got to entice people or make it, favorable for people to even support. So it is what it is. So, don't complain about videos for sale or what have you. Never Pay Again is still there. It came with the flash drive. It comes with this deal. It's there. So if years pass by, you've been following me for years and you're still complaining about paying for videos, you could have nipped that in the bud years ago for $100 and never have to worry about it again. I think that's more than fair. So I don't put these videos out and trying to make people purchase them. It's just, I got to put them out and I can't show the entire video. But again, I try to explain myself and I don't have to, but it's just people who just won't never understand it is what it is. But yeah, wanted to talk about this real quick, but yeah, let's get into this video. It's a good video. Make sure you guys take advantage of this sale. It's going to be ending after tomorrow. Take advantage of it. Check your emails. I gave deals to Never Pay Again members. Again, check your emails for those deals. And yeah, Thanks for watching. Let's get into this video.
You have vibration, you have this movement that's happening really fast that we can't detect it. So it looks like nothing is moving at all. Now we're talking about billions of atoms moving. Now, when you go to put your hand on the wall, that sensation you are feeling that we call touch is the electromagnetic force of the electrons in the wall and the electrons in your hand. And that sensation you are feeling is basically the force of the electrons, because when electrons come in close contact, they pass photons, and the photons is basically pushing away. So it's almost like, a pressure situation that you create on a quantum level to where it feels like touch, but that sensation is not touch. It's just the force, pushing off of each other from the electrons in the wall and the electrons in your hand. Now you can basically generate enough pressure, enough force, enough energy. If you generate enough energy to basically break through the force of the electron, then you can punch through a wall. You just broke through it. And that takes a lot of force, of course. So this is how things are broken. You have more force in one than in the other. If you don't generate enough force to break through, the electromagnetic field, the force that's there, then, you're just going to have a feeling sensation. Now, since all vibration, you have things vibrating at different frequencies. They are dancing. You heard people always say, well, atoms dance. They do a different dance. So atoms in the wall versus the atoms in your hand are basically dancing different ways, moving different ways. So, of course, the atoms in the wall are moving differently from, let's say the atoms on your couch. You feel your couch, it feels completely different from a wall, of course. So, of course, atoms in different material is vibrating and moving at different rates of speed, different frequencies. So when you touch them, they have different feelings. And this is why things feel different ways, because, of course, those atoms are coming together to create different elements, which is going to create different material. So, of course, it's not going to feel the same. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to look the same or sound the same or what have you. So, when we say everything is made of atoms, of course, when atoms come together, they are not all alike anymore. You have these elements now, even though, we go back to atoms. And this is what you're getting the different frequency from and vibration from, these different elements, these different materials that's giving us different vibrations, different sounds, different tastes, smells, or what have you. All of this stuff comes down to vibration. It comes down to energy. So we have vibration, we have frequency. Everybody knows vibration, something vibrating. A lot of people are not completely clear on frequency. Frequency, what is that? A lot of people, when they think frequency, they think about, a radio station, tuning your channel or tuning your radio to a certain frequency. Now, frequency is basically how many times something goes by within a certain amount of time, basically. We heard about frequently, you have frequency. Frequently is basically something that happens, frequently, over and over again. Frequency is something that happens, over and over again based on a time. So with frequency, you have how many waves go by per second with frequency. So when you look at a frequency wave or energy wave, it looks like this. And you have these high and low points on the wave, on the wavelength. The high and low points are the amplitude. So you have the amplitude of the wave, and you have the amount of waves going by per second. In this case, you have 20 waves going by per second at a pretty decent amplitude. So these waves going by per second are measured in hertz. So you have 20 hertz here in a frequency wave. So the higher the amplitude and the more waves you have going by per second, of course, means, the stronger the frequency, the stronger the energy. Now, I'm showing you this because I want you to think about it in the same terms as you. This is you. We are vibration. We are frequency. We are energy. So when you think about tuning a radio, when you think about tuning a piano, when you think about changing your TV dial or station or what have you, when you think about this stuff in terms of energy, frequency, vibration, sound, everything, it is all you. This is stuff that is natural. This is the makeup of the universe itself. It is you. It is all the same. So frequency, sound, vibration, Think about it in the universe. When you have sound, you have things, sound bouncing off of something. It needs some kind of material to bounce off, to keep going. Sound travels, vibration. If you have air, you can still have vibration. You can still make sound travel through the air because the air is something. So all of this stuff deals with you and the makeup of you. All this stuff goes back to who you are and how we was created, how the universe began to create everything in existence. So everything in existence, you're going to find deals, again, vibration, frequency, sound. It all goes back to energy and consciousness. Now, we've all seen cymatics. With cymatics, they basically use vibration and sound. They use frequency to create these patterns, to create these shapes. This is the same thing that took place in the universe. Everything is made of stardust. So they use the sand to kind of represent that with vibration and sound, with frequency, you can create these patterns. This is what happened in our universe so long ago. You had stardust, you had the vibration, the frequency of the universe, the energy, bring together planets, form galaxies, form moons, and so many different things that we see out there in space. This all came together due to music. Just like math, we didn't create math. We didn't create music. We just discovered that it already existed before we did. Music has already been here. So when you have this vibration, when you have these frequencies playing out in space, it creates sound. You've heard that, there's no sound in space, but they have already proven that wrong. Of course there's sound. You have a certain field, a certain parameter in which you can hear. Certain things you cannot hear don't mean it don't exist. But you have different instruments that you can use that can actually pick up sound in space. They have done so already. But this is what happened. This is how all this stuff comes together with sound, vibration, frequency. Planets formed, things formed and came together because of energy. So understanding one, vibration, light, sound, all of this stuff, frequency as well, all of it is energy. It all goes back to energy, which goes back to consciousness. So consciousness creating energy, energy vibrating, putting out frequency, creating these different atoms and elements to give us creation itself. All of this stuff happening at a quantum level, at a small level that goes deeper, than atoms. We can get in, as I said before, we can go to quarks, which gave us our protons and neutrons or what have you. You can go into string theory, when you get into string theory, you're talking about these tiny, tiny vibrating strings of energy. So it goes back to energy, so it's just better to start with that, say that. But to get into it deeper, as I said I would, you have vibration, you have frequency. So we have this consciousness, we have this energy, we have this frequency and vibration creating the material physical world. Now, talked about Satan being the lower brain, Satan being the god of the material physical world. So, what was Satan's job in heaven? Now, in Ezekiel, it talks about the 4 cherubs that was in the throne room of God, in the corners of the throne room of God. And Satan's job was basically the cherub that covereth, as it talks about in Ezekiel. So Satan's job was basically to cover the throne of God. He basically was to usher in the congregation and basically have the congregation basically worship God. Now, Ezekiel says that in his being, as I talked about in Ancient History Volume 1, we went through this, and Ezekiel talks about in his very being were basically tabrets and pipes was built into his very being. And tabret, of course, I talked about, it's basically like a small drum. They have different tabrets, but it's basically like a drum. It really goes back to colonial times and before that, where you have a person with a tabret basically play the drum to basically keep on step the person playing the fife, which a fife is like a small flute, but it denotes sound, music being played. So you're talking about music in his physical being, pipes, drums. When you think about pipes in somebody's physical being, you think about these pipes being their what? Their organs. Organs. So organs have pipes. And it's not a coincidence or a play on words that organs sound the same as an organ, which is a musical instrument. They know what they're doing. They did this with the English language for a reason. And it's, the same reason why you see when somebody's playing an organ, there's always something evil, Phantom of the Opera, or like a ghost or somebody playing the organ to denote, evil, something evil. But it has pipes. Now, when we say a person has pipes, they can blow, they can sing. This is what we mean. Now you have to understand your vocal cords is basically a two-band tissue in your larynx. Your larynx is in the top of your trachea, which your trachea is basically your windpipes. Your windpipes. So you have air from your lungs that passes through your vocal cords that creates this, unique sound. That unique sound, of course, is the sound of you, your voice. You have a different voice, different from everybody else. So when this air passes through your vocal cords, they vibrate, vibration to give you your unique sound. So when you go back to Satan and you think about, what was Satan's job? He had these musical instruments built into him or what have you. His job had to be choir director. He was the choir director. He ushered in the congregation to praise God. How do they praise God in church today? With song. They sing. This was Satan's job. This is what it's alluding to in the Bible. Remember, they give you subtle clues and tips, little hints. They don't give you 100% clarity, but when you pay attention, this is exactly what it's talking about. So you have the choir director or the choir, singing these songs and praising God and creating music, creating sound. In church, they pass around the hymn, which hymn goes back to Greek hymnos, which another way we can look at and say the Greeks, as I always say, created the Bible. But hymn goes back to hymnos, which is Greek. So understand when you see a preacher, allowing a gay person to run a church choir, or you always go to church and you see like a gay person playing the organ, or you always hear preachers refer to a gay person at a church that's running a choir or playing an organ. This is all Masonic code, all of it. Trust me, because first of all, if you're true to the religion as a preacher, most of these preachers, you see what they do when they come across a homosexual, they try to cast demons out, what have you, it's bullshit. The ones that allow it are the ones who are probably Masons. They do it to show Masonic ties. And it's a secret thing that a lot of people who only in secret societies will understand what they're doing, but it's alluding to Satan. It's alluding to a lot of different things. So they're showing you that, hey, I understand sound, I understand frequency and vibration, I understand what this stuff goes back to, I understand that Satan goes back to frequency and sound, Satan deals with material, I know all this stuff. So I'm going to let this gay dude run a choir, I'm going to let this gay dude play the organ or what have you. And this is all to show what this stuff is going back to. And to you, regular Joe Blow, it's just seemingly, what is it? It's no problem. It's just, dude playing the piano, dude singing in the choir. I don't get it. But this is the stuff they do. This is why I wanted to touch on that in the beginning about Masonic codes and initiations and what they do in movies and everything that they do. To you, you just won't get a lot of this stuff. It's going to seem stupid to you. It's going to seem like, what are you talking about when somebody even brings it up? But they do this stuff for a reason. This is to basically, show fidelity, to show their knowledge on what they do. This is what Masons do all the time. When they take the pictures and you see them with all the poses and everything, this is saying, I'm a Mason. I'm in a secret society. This is what I know. I'm down. I'm in. And this is exactly what these people do. So you got to understand when you see certain things, there's reasons behind it. So when you understand that, Satan's job was music, you understand now about the music industry and why it's surrounded, by Satanism and all these so-called Illuminati, satanic codes or what have you. All this stuff goes back to this, the understanding of this knowledge or what have you. But when you see it and you understand how, Satan goes back to material, you can understand why people say material is evil. People are consumed with the materialistic world and materials. People will kill for it. People do unspeakable things to get money, to get material, to get fame so they can get these things. People are attached so much to the material, physical world, and it's all due to deception. And understand when we look at what this stuff is tied to, it's tied to the music that's putting out this culture. It all goes back to satanic things, to Satan. So when we talk about frequency and vibration, we talk about the manipulation of sound and how it's basically controlling people. You understand what controls this stuff, material. material. It goes back to material. It goes back to these corporations that's controlling the material. So when I showed you about how all these corporations, you see the celebrities throw up the eye, throw up the hand signals and what have you to show their fidelity. But you see the corporations put up Saturn. They put, they hide satanic things within their logos to show you what they down with, that they are the bringer of these materialistic things representing the materialistic world. Satan, materialism. This is where all this stuff goes back to. Now, all this stuff couldn't exist if it wasn't for the government, who's at the top of all of it, regulating and allowing all these corporations and companies to exist under them. You can't get no corporation and get your stuff incorporated and get your stuff out there without the government. You have to pay taxes. You have to do certain things. You got to pay the boss. Who are they paying their money to? They're paying it to the government. The government is at the top. As I said, the government is God. The government is Satan. I mean, think about it. Why the hell would the Bible say that Satan is the God of this world? Think about that. That's stupid. Why would it say that? Didn't God just create this world? And God, God is God. How can Satan be God? I don't get that. So a lot of people don't let this stuff sink in because they are so bamboozled by the lie and all the fairy tale stories of the Bible. They don't stop and think, why the hell would you call Satan a God? Why would you put him on the same status and level as God himself? Wait a minute. Don't we call God God? Why would we call Satan God? They're not the same. God created Satan. What's going on? And people can't fathom this. You read in the Bible, Lord, the Lord God, Lord Almighty. Huh? White people call themselves lords. They're calling themselves lords for a long time. How can they do that? What is that? How can we call the Lord, when these people are calling themselves Lord, which basically Lord just means a person who has power and authority over other people, a person who is in control, a chief, government, people in power, the powers that be. These people have been calling themselves lords for a long time. And then you sit and you read in the Bible, Lord God, and these people have been calling themselves gods and lords for a long time, and then people can't connect the dots. This is what it's talking about. And it's not a coincidence that we see Lord, 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 and we get the King James Bible from an English King James. Think about it. And people are just so blind and oblivious because they don't understand that their mind is being controlled by the frequency, by the vibration, which we'll get into more. It all goes back to Satan, controlling the material, physical world that we live in. So we can look at this thing and say, well, so what? Frequency and vibration, they're talking about Satan. Satan is not real. We get it. Yeah, it goes back to frequency and vibration. But this stuff is deeper than you can imagine. Deeper than you can imagine. And the fact that so much emphasis is put on Satan and his deception and what he represents, it doesn't get any more evil and bad than Satan. Not to say that frequency and vibration is bad, because it goes back to energy, it goes back to you. You are Satan. You are frequency and vibration. So understand that. It's why they're using Satan and saying this dude is the worst being of all ever. Even though he's fictional, he still represents that. And you got to understand, when you believe in something, if everybody believe it, then it basically is real. It comes true, plain and simple. And that's something we'll touch on. But even though he's not, and you have people that are skeptical about his existence, it is what it is. Nonetheless, what he represents goes back to these things, and it's basically a danger warning for a reason about Satan, which we're going to get into, because you got to understand. So one, you have vibration, frequency, energy, all out there traveling throughout the cosmos, all throughout our physical material world, everywhere. We are transmitters. We are receivers, and we are receiving and transmitting these frequencies that is all everywhere, that is all over the place. And we transmit this stuff, and we decode it into basically what we call our senses, hear, taste, touch, smell, or what have you. And this is how we decode this information. So now all this stuff is what? Electrical signals interpreted by the brain, just like Morpheus said. And that's all it is. Remember, energy, vibration, all this stuff is electrical signals. This is what we get interpreted by the brain into what we call our senses: taste, smell, touch, sight, or what have you, all that stuff. We'll get into that a little bit more deeper. But that's what it is. So they're using all this stuff against us. Now, when you transmit all this information, you're transmitting it right into your consciousness, and it's being stored within your subconscious, whether you understand that or not. Whether you consciously understand what you just took in or not, your subconscious does, and it's storing this information, and it's in there. So, as I said, this stuff goes back to music, sound. They are controlling us with visualization and stimulation of music, stimulation of these visual things that we desire, things that our hearts desire. That's a huge thing when people say that, if they really understand what it means, which we'll touch on. But it's a big thing. So we have this stimulation. We have this music that we have been listening to all of our lives. Now, how many of you have heard about the controversy between the music frequencies? That's a big thing. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't know what this stuff was about. But I'm going to settle the whole thing right here, because you'll see about it as you go into studying what we're talking about here, after you do your own research, of course. Now, you have the whole argument that 432, which is the normal frequency for music, 432 hertz, 432 hertz, supposedly being transformed into 440 hertz. And you have a lot of people complaining about that, saying they don't sound the same, or they're doing this to mess with our frequency, they're doing this to mess with our minds, or what have you. And a lot of people are obsessed with the 432 and the 440. So now the 432 hertz is supposed to resonate with the earth, with love. It's supposed to resonate with our DNA. It's supposed to resonate with so many different frequencies. 432 is supposed to resonate with the pyramids. It's supposed to resonate with Stonehenge and so many different things. The sun, the moon, so many different things we find 432 in. It is a resonant frequency that we resonate with, that we dealt with since the beginning of time. It's a amazing frequency. And 432, when you add it up, it's 9. 4 plus 3, 7 plus 2, 9. So 9, what is that? And that's a huge deal that we're going to get into, that some of you probably know about, but probably not as deep as we're about to go into now. So 9 is the most significant number in the universe. 9 has existed long before we ever call it 9. 9 represents the divine completion. 9 is the end all be all, because once you are completed, so shall you be. So 9 is called a divine completion. 9, we know, is the last number in the counting system. You have 1 to 9, 0, 0, and then that's it. Everything else, of course, is a combination of those numbers. So 9 represents divine completion. 9 is the most significant number. 9 is everywhere. So now, when I first started studying Nikola Tesla, which was a long time ago, Nikola Tesla made a big difference in my life personally. I don't talk about him that much, but if it wasn't for Tesla, it wouldn't be a Merkaba, put it like that, as far as me having that name, which I'll talk about. But Tesla did so much. Tesla was a genius. And he discovered a lot. And once you start really getting into Tesla, and I've read probably everything that he's put out, and almost everything that everybody ever written about him that he's supposed to have said or did, yeah, I knew about it. I read about it. Trust me. Tesla, what he was doing, once you start getting into this information, you get to a point. Some of the people that you'll come across, you'll understand their significance and the contribution that they gave to humanity. And it's a select few that did outrageous things to me. And this is just blowing it out the water. When you start studying the man, you'll understand. To me, it's not too many people that come close to what this dude discovered. And what this dude discovered is mind-boggling when you understand it to its totality, which is why they let him rot away in a fucking hotel room, and they basically made sure he could not get any of his inventions really off the ground, that he could not unleash the unbelievable knowledge that he had, that he learned from your ancestors, from the Egyptians. So, of course, at the top of my list would, of course, be, the Egyptians. But right under them is Tesla. because Tesla gave us a lot. But he gave us basically what our ancestors left for us in Kemet that's still waiting for us today to discover, which is why I study Kemet so hard, because it's all there. But Tesla is a key into all of that, which you'll understand as we go along. But when you get into the information that the universe is numbers, when you get into all that and you start understanding what that stuff really means and it start blowing your mind, you're going to start finding something with Tesla about the Tesla codes. You have the Tesla codes, the 369 codes. You have the 9 codes. You have all this stuff that's going to start getting into vortex math. This is all crazy stuff that we'll get into down the line eventually. But it basically goes back to Tesla, goes back to the ancient Egyptians and what Tesla has discovered about the Egyptians. So now Tesla is studying, all of this stuff, and he understood about vibration and frequency and sound, and that this stuff goes back to numbers. And obviously, of course, the powers that be did as well, which is why they stifled them. But when he started getting into this stuff, he found out some interesting things about the pyramids in Giza. Now, when you get into all this stuff with the ancient Egyptians, it all goes back to the number 9, and I'll explain in a little bit what it has to do with music in the 432 hertz, because it all matches up. It all goes together. It's really deep. So, with ancient Kemet, of course, they knew about 9. Tesla understood this. And it's a lot of freaky stuff that we already know about the number 9. Again, as I said, it is the N of the counting system. 9 is just N. Everything else is extra numbers. But we also know that any number times 9 equals 9 when you add all the numbers together, except 9, it equals 36, which 3 plus 6 equals 9. You have a circle, which is 360 degrees. 3, 6 equals 9. Half of a circle, which is 180 equals 9. Half of that, which is 90, you have 9. Half of that, which is 45, you have 4 and 5 equals 9. If you keep going down, you're going to keep finding 9. So, you have half of 45, which is 22.5. Half of that, which would be 11.25. 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 5 gives you 9. You want to keep going. We go half of that, which would be 5.625, which equals 18. 1 and 8 is 9. We can keep going down and down and down. In every instance, you will find half of will always equals 9. It always equals 9. So we've seen the documentaries about the pyramids, and they talk about the speed of light and what have you, and all these other things that they have put into the Great Pyramids. So we look at the speed of light, which is 186,282, which if you add those numbers together, you'll get 27. 2 and 7 equals 9. We equal 9 if you do the 666. 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. 666 gives us 18, gives us 9. You are carried for 9 months. Woman, she's carried a baby for 9 months. So we find 9 everywhere. And it's so deep that a lot of people have absolutely no clue where this stuff goes. Now, also, if you put it in any kind of symmetrical shape, like a square or triangle or octagon into a circle, every single one of those angles at every point will equal to 9. I mean, it's crazy. It's mind-boggling. When you look at the flower of life, the tree of life, all the angles, everything, all equal 9. It's mind-boggling when you think about it. So when you think about consciousness moving, when they show you the creation of, the tree of life, the flower of life, or what have you, they always show you the circle. And that's 9 right there. And when consciousness moved and created the next step, and I showed you guys this in the energy video, we have 9. All of those breakdowns is going to give you 9. It's something that's completely amazing. So, Tesla, in studying, pyramids, Tesla figured out that the pyramids, of course, were energy generators, plain and simple. Energy generators that not only generated energy, but they produced sound. They had a concentrated frequency and vibration and produced sound because of the acoustic properties of the pyramids themselves. I just came out of the pyramids when I was in Kemet, and I was up there in the acoustics room. Unfortunately, my phone overheated and I couldn't record anything. I think everybody's phone overheated and you couldn't bring cameras in that place. But it's amazing. And you can make noise and you can hear it, and it vibrates, crazy. It's an unbelievable experience. But he took all of this information and he said to himself, well, this stuff it's an energy fucking generator. So that's what it is. These people had wireless energy. They understood nine. As I said, studying Tesla is how I came up, is why I use Merkaba. One, when you take tetrahedron, you take one tetrahedron, you take two tetrahedrons. First tetrahedron is basically like a three-sided pyramid when you look at it. You have one that fits into a pyramid shape, but when you take two, you not only get a shape that can fit perfectly, inside of the Great Pyramid, but it creates a Merkaba. So you have a Merkaba that can fit inside of the Great Pyramid. This Merkaba has 8 vortices. When you add those vortices together, you get 36, which 3 and 6 equals 9. If you look at my YouTube channel, if you go there, it's been youtube.com/Merkaba9. And I put that there for a reason. When I set out to give this information, I knew I will ultimately get to this point and start discussing Tesla, and which we'll get in more Tesla and a bunch of other people's information down the line. But that's mind-boggling, trust me. I knew, I wanted to talk about this and put this information out there and to get people to understand what I talk about.